first question for this hour: can Florida lawmakers do what parents and teachers may not be able to do? Get the kids off social media. This week, the House passed a bill to ban young people under 16 from social media platforms. Living online has become much a part of life for young people, as TV and telephone were to their parents, but comes with a whole set of mental health related issues that TV and telephone never did. Is it government's role to manage that or to ban it? Social media use for minors is House Bill #1 and one of the House Speaker's priorities. Florida House Speaker Paul Renner right here with us live today. Mr. Speaker, great to have you on the program.
Great to be with you.
I'm glad you set aside some Sunday for us, because this bill is really being talked about, raising a lot of eyebrows. And I want to get right to the essential part of it, because this bill really does target the addictive components of social media platforms. And I wonder if you would kind of take us through that, social media as an addiction for young people.
Right. And so the internet under this bill is still mostly wide open for kids under 16. But what we know about some of the social media platforms is that they were designed to be addictive. And then years into this experiment, we've learned that it's extremely harmful for many kids. We know from the Surgeon General that kids that spend 3 hours or more on social media are twice as likely to suffer depression. And a national study from the CDC shows that almost 1 in 3 high school girls have contemplated suicide in the last year. And you see a direct correlation globally between the advent of these social media platforms and those mental health harms to children. And so what we've said is, look, all that these platforms have to do is take away those addictive components, those little dopamine hits that they give people with notifications and hearts and likes and infinite scrolling, and create a kid-safe platform. They refuse to do it because it's extremely lucrative. It means they can get kids on the platform and keep them there longer.
When you say they refuse to do it, can you detail for us which platforms, which managements you've spoken to, what you've asked, and what they have, in your words, refused to do?
Well, we don't even have to ask, because the Wall Street Journal did an investigation recently that showed that these social media platforms know that kids can't get off the platforms. They know that they create harm to them. And yet they've made statements that say we have to keep the teens, because if we lose the teens, we lose the pipeline. Every business, markets to teenagers and young people in their 20s, because you create a customer at that age, you get them for life. And that's really what's happening at a time under 16, when our kids' brain is not fully developed. We don't let kids get behind the wheel of a car. Some can drive just fine, but we know that their brain is just not at the point where that's a safe thing to do.
So this bill is about mental health, and I should say it's a bipartisan-ish bill. There has been some opposition, but you do have a bipartisan field of people aboard on this relative to the mental health aspect of it. But I wonder if this particular, in this session and last session and even the session prior, parental rights really has been a headline of so many of the bills. Is this venue of social media better for a parent or family to deal with their respective kids, other than government?
Well, it's very bipartisan. Let me just say this first. All Republicans and a majority of Democrats in the caucus supported it. It was 106 to 13, so pretty widely bipartisan. And on the issue of parents' rights, we don't let kids smoke or drink or vote or get married under a certain age. And as I said, get behind the wheel. There's certain things that we say are inherently harmful. And again, here, with an addictive platform that is monetizing children to billions of profits, that we know creates them harm, is something that we just can't leave to parents that are very busy. And once they get on the platform, they're spending hours and hours with total strangers without any kind of parental oversight. So this is just a class of those issues that we take outside parental decisions. And in fact, I believe will empower parents to give them back the influencing role that belongs to moms and dads about what their kids bring into their lives.
You make a really interesting point about children not being able to drive, gamble, smoke, and those kind of things. And I'm thinking of those particular components of parts of life that you choose or don't choose to do. The internet has become, especially for the generation under us and following, the internet is so much part of the fabric of their lives that's almost not a choice in some respects. So how do you police? I guess the onus would be on the platforms. Is that right? If I'm reading the bill right, the onus is on the platforms.
Right. It allows non-governmental third-party age verification platforms that can do this in a pretty sophisticated way to verify and make sure that that people under that age do not get an account. Parents for kids that already have an account can get them off the account, and so that's how it would function, and do so in a way that protects data privacy.
And what would be the consequences?
Well, there's a private cause of action. If a kid is allowed onto a site and some harm comes to them, a parent could bring a claim. It also allows the Attorney General to engage with these platforms if they're continuing to present these addictive features and not following the law and verifying that kids underage are on their platforms. But again, I think the simple thing here, and you asked about the crux of the matter is tomorrow, these platforms could just take away these addictive components, create a kid-friendly version of those platforms, and everything that they do now they could do there, but they won't do it because, again, it keeps them on the platform for hours and hours and hours, which makes it wildly profitable. And so the platforms will continue to offer up window dressing, but they will never do what is the simple thing to do to get out from under what we're aiming at, which is this addictive technology.
Understood. I think, to your point, I think adults experience that addictive technology in some respects too. I want to bring up the sort of positive side of the internet for a lot of kids. And I will say I've heard from when we kind of put this out that we'd be discussing this today, we've heard from some parents and other people. And I want to, while we do this, put up a tweet, which I know you won't be able to see, but I'll describe it to you. It's from someone, a 13-year-old named DJ Marley. Okay, we don't have that tweet. But anyway, DJ Marley is a 13-year-old from Broward County who does not know we'd be talking about her today, but she was one of the people who said, this is my business. She's DJ'd for the Dolphins and different components, and other kids who are actors or models or have their sort of early career stages totally on social media, and this is their venue to promote themselves. Is there a carve out for people like that?
Well, there is, because if you look at those profiles, you'll see, account by mom or account by dad. And so there's nothing to prevent the person that made that tweet from working with their parents to continue to sell widgets or do whatever they do as a matter of raising money in a business. So it's not aimed at that, but it is aimed at platforms, again, that are addictive, but doesn't preclude many applications on the internet that kids can continue to use because they're not addictive.
One more question or two more questions on this, because practically speaking, there actually is not a Senate side yet, so TBA on the Senate bill, I suppose. But the legal ramifications, we're sort of seeing possibilities in Arkansas and Utah have very similar laws, both challenged. Utah's laws is being challenged right now. The Arkansas law banning social media for minors, similar but not exact. The courts blocked that. So how do you feel like this bill as written will pass legal muster?
Well, the First Amendment protects content, and this bill does not aim at all at content. Once you get on the site, you can say and do anything you please, but it just simply targets certain criteria on a platform, all of which have to be true. And if any one of those things are changed by the platforms, they immediately can open accounts for minors. And so again, this is about whether the platforms want to move away from addictive technology, which I'm sure they do not want to do because it's so profitable. And so that's really the short answer to that question.
Speaker Renner, while we have you, I'd love to just throw out a couple of questions about what people identify to us as their number one issue with the state, and that is, you want to guess?
Property insurance. Affordability.
Bingo. Property insurance and housing affordability continue to be just anecdotally what people talk about all the time. Right now there are several new insurers in the state. The reforms passed in the past couple of years targeting mostly lawsuits, tort reform, and home hardening have not yet, practically speaking, resulted in lower premiums yet. What's on tap for this session?
Well, we're going to continue our work, and we did a lot with respect to Wild West litigation. The result of that has been a record number of new insurers coming into the market at a time when, before that legislation, people were going bankrupt and leaving the market in droves. Nobody wanted to be in Florida. That's now changed in a dramatic way. And so all the things we would hope to see initially, we're seeing. But much like a cruise ship, and I was in the Navy, when you have a cruise ship that's going this way in a bad direction and you turn the rudder over to turn it back in the right direction, it takes a little time. And so, but we're witnessing the things that would show the ship coming around. It just hasn't come around to the point where we see drops in rates, but we do see encouraging signs, even in the rate structures for some areas. And we hope to continue to see that in the future. Now, what are we doing this year? We're looking at another area, which is mitigation. So we have a program called My Safe Florida Home, which gives up to $10,000 if you get an inspection and someone says, look, you can do this with your windows or your garage doors or roof tie downs. The state will offer up as much as $10,000 to help you get that done, so that if a hurricane does come, instead of having a $100,000 claim, maybe the claim's only $10,000. We have to do that across the state, make sure we're hardening our homes, building them strong. And when we do that, we'll see that have a really positive effect, because lower claims across the board mean lower rates. And competition is still going to be alive and well, and insurers will not be able to maintain high rates when others that are coming into the market are willing to lower their rates.
Has the My Safe Florida Home, has that been, the funding has been replenished? Because I know a couple of months ago that was running very low. It turned out to be a pretty popular program.
Right. Yeah, it was oversubscribed. So we came into a special session for this purpose to make sure we're giving this to anybody that wants it. We did that in special session. We're in the budget talks now for the next fiscal year. So we intend to plus that up. The Senate president has a great idea to make sure that we're giving front of the line privileges to people who are on fixed income, those who don't have a lot of money, to make sure they get that on a first come, first served basis. But we really want to make sure this is available to everyone except those on the very top of the income ladder, so that they can make sure to harden their homes against hurricanes that we know have been around since Florida was Florida and will continue. But if we reduce those claim amounts when the hurricane does hit, it will protect our homes and also lower rates for everyone.
House Speaker Paul Renner, great to have you on the program. Sure appreciate your time.
Great to be with you.
Take care.